My daughter-in-law stepped out to take a call during our lunch. Suddenly, a woman at the table next to mine pressed money into my hand and whispered, almost without moving her lips, "Call a cab and leave through the bathroom window." I barely managed to get out with my life. I know this sounds like something ripped from a movie script, but I swear on the memory of my late husband, William, that every word I am about to tell you is the truth. And if you are watching this, if you made it here looking for a story that makes you feel something real, I ask you to stay until the end, because I do not wish what I lived through on anyone, but I need you to know that it can happen to anyone, even you. If this story grabs you, subscribe to the channel to keep hearing real testimonies like this one. That day was Tuesday, March 14th to be exact. Vanessa, my daughter-in-law, had invited me to lunch at the Ivy, an extremely expensive restaurant in downtown Chicago that I never would have chosen. Too elegant for my taste, too pretentious. But she insisted. She told me we needed to talk, that she wanted to fix things between us. I did not trust her anymore, not after everything that had happened in the last few months. But a part of me, that foolish part that still hoped to get my son Michael back, agreed to go. I was wearing my burgundy blazer, the one William gave me for our last anniversary. I fixed my hair, put on the pearl earrings that belonged to my mother. I wanted to look dignified. I wanted her to know she had not broken me. I arrived first. I sat at a table by the window, from where I could see the fountain in the courtyard. The waiter offered me water, and I asked for a chamomile tea. It has always calmed my nerves. Vanessa arrived 15 minutes late, as always. She was wearing a fitted black dress, sky-high heels, her hair in a perfect bun. She looked like a magazine model. She smiled when she saw me, but that smile did not reach her eyes. "Eleanor, so good to see you," she said, giving me a kiss on the cheek that felt cold as ice. We ordered our food. She ordered a salad. I ordered the chicken pot pie, because if I was going to be uncomfortable, at least I would eat something I liked. We talked about trivialities, the weather, the construction on Lakeshore Drive. Nothing real. Then her phone rang. "Excuse me, Eleanor, this is important." "I will be back in a moment," she said, and walked out toward the valet parking area. I stayed there, staring at my plate, feeling that weight in my chest that had not left me in months. I took a sip of my water with lemon. It tasted strange, slightly bitter. I thought maybe it was the lemon. It was then that I heard the whisper, "Ma'am." I turned my head. At the table next to me was a woman of about 65, short silver hair, thick glasses. She was looking at me with an intensity that scared me. She slid her hand under the table, and suddenly I felt something in my palm. Bills. $20. "Call a cab right now," she whispered without moving her lips almost at all, like a ventriloquist. "Go to the restroom. There is a window that opens to the side alley. Get out through there. Do not return to this table." My heart began to beat so fast I thought everyone in the restaurant could hear it. "What? Why?" "Your drink. I saw when she put something in it while you were looking at the menu. Please, believe me. I am a nurse. I recognize these things. Get out. Now." The world stopped. I looked at my glass of water. That bitter taste. I looked toward the parking lot. Vanessa was still turned away, talking on the phone. I looked at the unknown woman. Her eyes told me everything. "We do not have time." I stood up. My legs were shaking. I walked toward the restroom, trying to look normal, even though I felt like I was going to faint. I went in. I locked the door. And there it was. A small window, with decorative bars that, thank God, were not bolted down. I climbed. At my 68 years, I climbed like I had not done since I was a girl on my grandmother's farm in Iowa. I scraped my arm. I tore my stockings. I fell on the other side into an alley that smelled of trash and dampness. I flagged down the first cab I saw. I gave him the address of my friend Barbara. And while that cab drove away from the Ivy, while I watched in the rearview mirror how Vanessa came running out of the restaurant scanning for me, I knew with absolute clarity a truth that chilled me to the bone. My own daughter-in-law had tried to kill me. And the worst part of all is that I knew exactly why. But to understand why we reached that point, I need to take you 6 months back, to the day I made the biggest mistake of my life, opening the doors of my house believing I was gaining a family, when in reality I was inviting the wolf in. It all began in September of last year. I had just marked 2 years as a widow. 2 years since William passed, leaving me alone in that colonial Victorian house in Lincoln Park that we bought together when we were 30. 3 bedrooms, a central garden with hydrangeas, original hardwood floors. Our entire life was within those walls. William also left me 2 commercial spaces on Michigan Avenue. One was rented by a pharmacy, the other by a clothing boutique. Between the rents and my pension, I lived comfortably. Not rich, but without worries. I had enough for my expenses, for my medications, to treat myself every now and then. My son Michael came to visit me every 2 weeks, always alone. Vanessa almost never accompanied him. She said she had work, that she had migraines, that she had anything at all, and that seemed perfect to me, because from the day I met her, 3 years ago, something about her made me uncomfortable. It was not her style of dress, always impeccable, nor her way of speaking, polite but cold. It was something in her eyes, as if she were measuring, calculating, evaluating all the time. As if behind that perfect smile there was a cash register counting numbers. But Michael loved her, or so I believed. So I swallowed my doubts and tried to be kind. Everything changed when I turned 68. Vanessa organized a dinner at my house. She arrived early, with Michael and 2 friends of hers whom I did not know. She brought expensive food from a Japanese restaurant, scented candles, even background music on a portable speaker. "It is just that you deserve something special, Eleanor," she told me, arranging the dining table as if it were for an Architectural Digest spread. During dinner, she began to ask questions. Questions that sounded innocent, but now, looking back, I see were pure strategy. "And how do you manage with this big house, mother-in-law? Does it not get heavy cleaning at all? Do you still drive to do the groceries? Oh, it is just that at this age city traffic is dangerous, right? Do you remember to take your medications? Because I can set alarms on your phone so you do not forget." I answered her with patience. Yes, I cleaned. Yes, I drove. Yes, I took my blood pressure pills without a problem, but she insisted, "It is just that I see you alone, Eleanor. And I worry." Michael also worries. "Right, honey?" Michael nodded, chewing his sushi, without looking me in the eyes. That night, when everyone left, I stayed up clearing the plates. I found a paper napkin where Vanessa had scribbled something. Numbers, amounts, 2 million house, 1.2 million commercial units, pension 3,000. I felt a chill. I put that napkin in my nightstand drawer. I said nothing to Michael. I thought maybe I was being paranoid, that maybe it was just harmless curiosity. How foolish I was. 2 weeks later, Vanessa began to visit me more often, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, always with some excuse, bringing me pastries, accompanying me to the supermarket, helping me with paperwork. She checked my pantry as if I were incapable of buying food. She moved my things around so they would be more at hand. She asked me about my documents, my deeds, my bank accounts. It is to have everything in order, Eleanor, in case something happens one day. One day she arrived with Michael and some suitcases. "Mom," my son said to me, with that voice of a shamed child he used when he was little and broke something. "Vanessa and I thought it would be good to stay with you for a season, to take care of you, so you are not alone." I did not want to. But how do you say no to your only son when he looks at you like that, when he makes you feel that rejecting him would be cruel? "Of course, son," I said. "This will always be your house." They settled into the front bedroom, the one that had been Michael's when he was a teenager. And that is where my nightmare began. Because Vanessa did not come to take care of me. She came to study me, to control me, to prepare me for what she had planned. Only I did not know it yet. The first few days were tolerable. Vanessa cooked, cleaned, smiled. Michael left early for his job at the accounting firm and returned late. I tried to maintain my routine, my soap operas, my garden plants, my calls with my friend Margaret. But little by little, so slowly that I almost did not notice, things started to change. First it was the television remote. I always left it on the coffee table. One day it was not there anymore. Vanessa had put it away in a drawer so it would not get lost. Every time I wanted to watch something, I had to ask her for it. "The soaps again, Eleanor? Would you not prefer to watch documentaries?" They are better for keeping the mind active. Then it was my car keys. I had hung them on the hook in the entryway for 30 years. One morning, they were not there. Oh, mother-in-law. It is just that Michael needed them because his car is in the shop. He will return them to you tomorrow. Tomorrow turned into a week, then into a month. When I asked about them, Vanessa looked at me with that expression of fake concern that I was starting to recognize. Do you not remember that we agreed you should not drive anymore? The other day you almost crashed in the supermarket parking lot. That was a lie. I had never crashed. But Michael was there, nodding, as if it were true. Mom, it is for your safety. I swallowed hard. I said nothing, but I felt something break inside me. After that came the phones in my bedroom and the living room. They were not working well, Vanessa said, and she replaced them with a new cordless one she kept. If I wanted to make a call, I had to ask her for the handset. And always, she stayed nearby while I spoke. My friend Margaret stopped visiting me. When I asked Vanessa if she had come, she told me, "Yes, she came, but you were asleep. I told her to call you instead." Margaret never called me. I could not call her either. I did not have the phone at hand. One afternoon, I looked for the photo album I kept in the bookcase. The photos of my wedding with William, Michael's birthdays, our trips to Florida. It was not there. "Where is my album?" I asked at dinner. Vanessa looked up from her plate surprised. "Which album?" "The one with the photographs, the green one with gold lettering." "Oh, Eleanor, that album has been in the same place for months, in your closet upstairs. Do you not remember? I went up to look for it. It was not there. I went down. I insisted." She sighed, as if I were a stubborn child. She went up with me, opened the closet, and there was the album, in a place where I never kept it. "See? Here it is. Maybe you moved it and forgot." Michael looked at me from the doorway with something that looked like pity. That night, alone in my bed, I hugged William's pillow and cried. Because I was starting to doubt myself. I was starting to ask myself if I really was losing my mind. Vanessa began calling me Nana, even though they had no children. She did it with a sweet, condescending little voice, as if I were 5 years old. "Nana, take your pills now. Nana, better stay seated. You might fall. Nana, let me do it. You rest." I ceased to be Eleanor. I ceased to be the owner of my own house. I became a nuisance with a diminutive name. My routines disappeared, my space shrank. My decisions no longer mattered. And the worst of all is that Michael saw all this and said nothing. My son, the boy I raised, the man I taught to respect his elders, looked at me as if I were a problem that had to be solved. One night I heard him talking with Vanessa in the kitchen. I was in my room, but the walls of these old houses are thin. "How much longer are we going to continue like this?" Michael asked. "As long as necessary," she replied. "She is not ready yet." "Ready for what?" There was a long silence. Then Vanessa's voice, low but firm, so that no one doubts when we say she can no longer live alone. I covered my mouth to not scream. Now I understood everything. They had not come to take care of me. They had come to erase me. The next morning, Vanessa entered my room without knocking. I was barely waking up. She brought a cup of coffee with milk and a white pill that I did not recognize. "Good morning, Eleanor. I brought you your medication." "I do not take that pill," I told her, still with a voice hoarse from sleep. "Of course you do. It is the new one Dr. Reynolds prescribed. For your memory." "What Dr. Reynolds?" "I have been going to Dr. Morales for 15 years. Vanessa sighed, as if explaining things to a stubborn old woman was her daily penance. "Eleanor, Dr. Reynolds came 2 weeks ago. Do you not remember? He is a neurologist. Michael brought him because you were forgetting things." I felt a void in my stomach. No doctor had come. Or if he came, no one told me. They were medicating me without my consent. "I am not going to take it." Vanessa's eyes hardened for just a second. Then the sweet mask returned. "As you say, but when Michael finds out you are not cooperating with your treatment, he is going to worry very much." She left the cup and the pill on my nightstand. She left closing the door softly. I threw the pill in the toilet and watched it disappear with the water. That same week, Vanessa organized what she called a family meeting to catch up. She invited my niece Sarah, my cousin Justin and his wife Amber, and William's sister, Barbara, with whom I had not spoken in years due to a misunderstanding about some furniture from the estate. They all arrived on a Saturday afternoon. Vanessa had prepared roast beef, mashed potatoes, coffee. My house smelled like a party, but I felt that something terrible was about to happen. We sat in the living room. Vanessa served the coffee with the smile of a perfect hostess. "I gathered you all because I am worried about Eleanor," she began, with a voice smooth but firm. "Michael and I have been living with her for 3 months and, well, we have noticed things." My heart started to beat faster. "What things?" asked Sarah. Vanessa took out a folder. A folder. As if this were a business presentation. "Look, here I have the electric bill from 2 months ago. Eleanor paid the same bill twice. I did not remember having paid it the first time. Lie. I never paid double. Here is a note the neighbor, Mrs. Miller, left, complaining that Eleanor knocked on her door at 3 in the morning saying there were strangers in the yard. There was no one. Lie. I never did that. And 2 weeks ago, she accused the cleaning lady of having stolen a silver brooch. The brooch was in her jewelry box, where it always was. That did happen. But because someone moved it from its place and then returned it. Now I know who." My family looked at me with eyes full of worry. Barbara, especially, observed me with something that looked like pity. "Auntie," said Sarah, taking my hand. "Is that true?" I opened my mouth to defend myself. "But how do you contradict evidence you did not know existed?" "Not me. Things did not happen like that." My voice came out weak, insecure, and that was worse than any silence. Michael spoke for the first time. "Mom, no one is accusing you of anything. But Dr. Reynolds says these are normal symptoms of cognitive decline. We only want to help you." Cognitive decline? The words burned my throat. "I am perfectly fine." Vanessa put her hand over mine, squeezing it with strength while feigning tenderness. "Of course you are, Eleanor. That is why we are here. To take care of you. So you do not have to worry about anything." Justin cleared his throat uncomfortably. "And what do you propose? That Eleanor give us power of attorney?" said Vanessa, taking another paper out of her damn folder. "Temporary. Just so Michael can help her with the payments, the paperwork, the complicated things. That way she can rest easy." The room went silent. Everyone looked at me, expecting me to say yes. Barbara was the only one who furrowed her brow. "Power of attorney? That is very serious." "It is for her own good," insisted Vanessa. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick them all out. But a part of me, that part they were already succeeding in breaking, wondered, and what if they are right? What if I really am losing my mind? "I need to think about it," I whispered. Vanessa smiled, but that smile did not reach her eyes. "Of course, Nana. Take your time." When everyone left, I locked myself in my room, and for the first time in my life, I felt fear of my own family. 2 weeks passed, 2 weeks in which Vanessa tightened the siege. I no longer left the house without her permission. I no longer answered the phone without her being present. She even checked my email to help me with important replies. Michael worked more hours than ever, or so he said. The truth is, I think he could not stand to look me in the eyes. Then came October 18th, my 68th birthday. Vanessa woke me up early with a radiant smile. "Happy birthday, Eleanor. Today is your special day. We are going to celebrate with the whole family." I did not want to celebrate anything, but she gave me no choice. At 6 in the evening, they started to arrive. Sarah with her husband, Justin and Amber, Barbara. Even 2 distant cousins I had not seen since William's funeral came. Vanessa had invited everyone without asking me. The table was set with my good china, the Wedgwood I inherited from my mother. There was pot roast, green beans, homemade rolls, cheesecake. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. "Cheers to the birthday girl," said Justin, raising his glass of wine. Everyone toasted. I forced a smile. We ate, we talked. Everything seemed normal until they brought the cake. A vanilla cake with candles that said 68. I blew out the candles. Everyone applauded. And then Vanessa stood up. "Family. I took advantage of us all being gathered because I need to talk about something important." The air changed. I felt that weight in my chest again. Vanessa walked toward the living room and returned with a cardboard box. She put it on the table next to my cake. These days I have been organizing Eleanor's things, and I found something worrisome. She opened the box. She began to take out papers, invoices, receipts, documents. Look, here are 3 water bills, all unpaid, with shut-off warnings. I had never seen those bills. Here is a bank statement showing 2 withdrawals of $1,000 each from ATMs. Eleanor does not remember making them, because I did not make them. And here is the most serious thing. She took out a crumpled envelope. Inside there were bills, thousands of dollars in cash. I found this hidden inside Eleanor's mattress. It is $4,000. When I asked her where they came from, she could not explain. All gazes fixed on me. That money. My voice trembled. That is my money. From my savings. But why do you hide it under the mattress, Auntie? Asked Sarah, genuinely worried. That is not safe. Anyone could steal it. Oh, it is just that she no longer trusts banks, said Vanessa with a compassionate tone. She says they steal her money. That is why she takes it out and hides it. That is not true, I whispered. But my voice came out so weak that almost no one heard it. Vanessa continued, implacable. 3 days ago, Eleanor accused our neighbor, Mrs. Miller, of having broken into the house to steal her pearl earrings. The earrings were in her jewelry box. Why did someone move them? I said, my voice rising. I did not put them there. Who is going to move them, Mom? Said Michael, with that tired voice that broke my soul. Only the 3 of us live here. Barbara looked at me with a furrowed brow. Justin avoided my gaze. Amber shook her head. And yesterday, continued Vanessa, now with a broken voice as if she were the victim. Yesterday, she accused me of stealing a ring from her. A ring she sold 6 months ago to pay I do not know what bill. But she insists that I stole it from her. That was a lie. I never sold that ring. It was the engagement ring William gave me. I would never part with it. Lie! I shouted, standing up. Everything you are saying is a lie. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. Everyone looked at me with eyes full of pity, as if I were a delirious old woman, as if I were a burden, as if I were a problem. Vanessa approached me. She took my hands. Her eyes shone with fake tears. Eleanor, no one is attacking you. We love you. That is why we are worried. She let go of me and addressed the family. Dr. Reynolds recommends that we consider options. Maybe an assisted living facility where she can have professional care 24 hours a day. A nursing home, I said, feeling something break inside. You want to put me in a nursing home? It is not a nursing home, Mom, said Michael without looking at me. It is a residence, with nurses, with activities. You would be better there. I looked at my son, the man I carried in my womb, whom I raised alone when William worked 12 hours a day, for whom I made lunch for 20 years, whom I helped pay for college, and he could not hold my gaze. Better? I repeated. Better than in my own house? No one answered. Barbara was the only one who spoke. This seems very rushed to me. Eleanor has always been a strong, lucid woman. With all due respect, Barbara, interrupted Vanessa, you have gone years without living with her. We live with her. We see what happens every day. I collapsed into the chair. Tears came out without permission. That was the moment I felt everything was lost. My own family had declared me incompetent. On my birthday, in my own house, with my own cake still uncut on the table. Everyone left early. No one wanted to stay for cake. That night, alone in my room, I hugged William's photograph and whispered to him, "Forgive me for not knowing how to protect what we built together." But something changed in me that night. Something hardened. Because if they were going to treat me like an enemy, I would learn to fight like one. 3 nights after that humiliation, Vanessa brought me my nightly medication, as always. A pink pill that was supposedly to sleep better. I no longer trusted. So I did something I had learned watching movies with William. I put it under my tongue, took the glass of water, pretended to swallow, and when she left the room, I spit it into a tissue. My heart was beating like a drum. I turned off the light. I lay down. I closed my eyes, and I waited. At 11 at night, I heard her footsteps in the hallway. My bedroom door opened slowly. I felt her approach. I held my breath, pretending to be deeply asleep. "Eleanor?" she whispered. I did not answer. I did not move. She left. She closed the door. 20 minutes passed. Then I heard voices in the living room. Vanessa and Michael were talking. Low, but in that old house everything is heard if you pay attention. I got up without making noise. Barefoot, I walked to my bedroom door. I opened it just a crack. And what I heard froze my blood. Is she asleep yet? It was Michael's voice. Yes. I gave her a double dose. She won't wake up until noon tomorrow. I felt a chill. Double dose of what? How much longer are we going to continue with this, Vanessa? I can't stand seeing her like this anymore. Are you going to get sentimental now? Her voice sounded sharp. We are already too deep in, Michael. There is no turning back. She is my mother. She is an obstacle. And obstacles are removed. There was a heavy silence. Tomorrow Mr. Thompson is coming, continued Vanessa. We will show him the whole file, the duplicate receipts, the accusations against the neighbors, the hidden money. With that and Dr. Reynolds' report, it will be enough to declare her incapacitated. Incapacitated? Michael's voice sounded unsure. Legally incompetent. That means you, as her only son, obtain conservatorship over her. Absolute power. You can sell the properties, move the money, decide where she lives, everything. My stomach twisted. The commercial units already have a buyer, Vanessa continued. Mr. Garrison offered $100,000 for both, cash and the house. This Victorian in Lincoln Park is worth at least $1.5 million, maybe more if we sell it well. Almost $2 million. That was the price of my life for them. And her? Asked Michael. Where is she going to live? At the St. Lucie residence. I already spoke with the director. It is $900 a month, all inclusive. Her pension covers it perfectly, and we keep the rest. It sounds, I don't know, it sounds cruel. Cruel? Vanessa let out a dry laugh. Cruel is remaining buried in debt because you don't know how to control your addiction to poker? You have gone 6 months without paying Rocco. Do you know what people like him do to you when you don't pay? Do you want your mom to find out that you lost $50,000 at the betting tables? My breath cut short. Michael, my son. Gambling. Losing fortunes. I already paid $20,000, he said, with a defeated voice. Yes, with my money. Money that you are going to pay back to me, plus interest. Vanessa's voice was pure ice. So stop acting like a saint. You need this as much as I do. Another long silence. What if she refuses to sign? She isn't going to refuse. Because tomorrow, after Mr. Thompson's visit, when we show her the whole medical file and explain that she can lose everything in a long and painful trial, or she can cooperate and live peacefully at St. Lucie, she is going to sign. And if she doesn't, the pause that followed gave me goosebumps. Then we will have to accelerate Plan B. What Plan B? Doctor. Reynolds has a friend, a geriatrician, who certifies cases of advanced dementia, with the history we already built, plus a strong episode. Let's say Eleanor tries to leave the house in pajamas in the middle of the night, or she gets violent, or has a crisis. That is enough for an involuntary commitment. My God, Vanessa, don't come at me with morality now. You knew what we came here for. You agreed to move in. You signed Dr. Reynolds' first report without reading it. You are in up to your neck, Michael, just like me. The footsteps approached the hallway. I ran into my room, closed the door silently, threw myself on the bed. My heart was beating so strong I thought it would burst. Vanessa entered again. I felt her next to my bed, held my breath. She stayed there a full minute, then she left. I remained motionless until I heard her bedroom door close. Then I sat on the bed, shaking from head to toe. I had heard it all. Every word, every detail of the plan to steal my life. My son was not a victim, he was an accomplice. The woman sleeping across the hall was not my daughter-in-law. She was a predator who had studied every move as if it were a chess match. And I was the piece they were about to eliminate from the board. But now I knew. And for the first time in months, I felt something stronger than fear. I felt rage. Pure, ancient rage. The kind that makes you get up when you thought you couldn't take any more. If they wanted to play dirty, I could too. But I needed help, and I knew exactly who I had to turn to, even if it meant swallowing my pride. The next day, Vanessa and Michael went out mid-morning. They said they were going to the bank, that they would return in 2 hours. It was my chance. As soon as I heard the car engine pull away, I ran to the kitchen pantry. Behind the jars of coffee and sugar, I kept an old cell phone William used for emergencies. A basic device, one of those flip phones that only work for calls. I had hidden it there, months ago, when Vanessa began to control my communications. I turned it on. It still had battery. Thank God. I dialed Margaret's number, my lifelong friend. It rang, rang, rang. She did not answer. I tried again. Nothing. Perhaps Vanessa had already told her something. Perhaps Margaret also believed I was losing my mind. My hands were shaking. Who else could I call? Then I remembered a name I hadn't spoken in years. Barbara, William's sister. We drifted apart after his death over a silly thing. She wanted to keep the porcelain tea set that had belonged to William's mother. I wanted it too, we argued. We stopped speaking. What stupidity. What an absurd waste of time. I looked for her number in the old address book I kept in my underwear drawer. There it was, written in William's shaky handwriting. I dialed before fear could stop me. Hello? Her voice sounded the same, raspy, firm. Barbara, it is Eleanor. There was a silence. Then, Eleanor, are you okay? Your voice sounds, I am not okay. I need help. I need you to come. Please. What is happening? Is it Michael? It is. It is complicated. I cannot explain it over the phone. Can you come today? Now? Another pause. I am on my way. I hung up. I hid the phone again. I sat in the living room to wait, with my heart racing. Barbara arrived 40 minutes later. She rang the doorbell. I opened it myself, something I had not done in weeks. She stood on the threshold, observing me. Barbara was always tall, big-boned, with the face of a woman who does not let herself be intimidated. She had short gray hair, small silver earrings, a brown sweater and jeans. Nothing elegant, but dignified. Come in, please. We went into the living room. We sat down. We looked at each other like two strangers who were once family. I do not have much time, I said. They returned soon. They? Michael and Vanessa. Barbara. They are robbing me. They are making me out to be crazy to take everything from me. I told her everything. Every detail. The control, the lies, the medicines, the family meeting, the conversation I heard last night. Everything. Barbara did not interrupt me once. She just listened, eyes narrowed, processing every word. When I finished, she stayed quiet for a long moment. Do you believe me? I asked, feeling a lump in my throat. I believe you, she said without hesitation. At your birthday gathering, something did not add up for me. The way Vanessa presented everything was too perfect, too prepared. I felt a weight lifted off my chest. There is something else, Barbara continued. Something you need to know. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. After that meeting, something bothered me so much I investigated. I hired a guy who works on the internet, one of those who know how to find information. I gave him Vanessa's full name, Vanessa Brooks. And? Your daughter-in-law has a record. Not criminal, but a history. Dark. My breath stopped. 7 years ago, in Arizona, she lived with a widowed aunt, a 72-year-old lady named Eloise Brooks. Rich, with properties, the aunt began to show signs of decline. Vanessa convinced her to give her power of attorney. She sold everything. She put her in a cheap nursing home. The lady died 6 months later. I felt the floor move under my feet. Vanessa inherited everything as the sole caregiver, more than $300,000. The family tried to sue, but they could not prove anything. Vanessa had built a perfect medical file. Good Lord, this is not improvisation, Eleanor. It is her method. She did it before, and now she is doing the same to you. Tears rolled down my cheeks. But they were not tears of sadness. They were of rage. What can I do? If I go to the police, they are going to think I am crazy. Vanessa built the whole fake file. She even has an accomplice doctor. Barbara took my hands. Her hands were rough, strong, real. We need evidence, real proof, and we need to move you fast before they commit you or make you sign something. How? I know someone, a young lawyer, aggressive. His name is David Ross. He specializes in protection of the elderly. He has won cases against children, nephews, grandchildren who abuse seniors. He is good and he is honest. Do you think he will help me? I am sure. But we need to move today. Now. I looked at the clock. An hour and a half had already passed. I cannot leave. If they see me leaving, they will suspect. Then he will come here. Tonight. I will bring him. You let me in through the back door. The patio one, at 10, when they are asleep. And if they discover me? Barbara squeezed my hands. Eleanor, if we do not do something now, in a week, you are going to be signing papers you do not understand, and in 2 weeks, you are going to be in a nursing home room watching them take your life away. Is that what you want? No. Then? I took a deep breath. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Determination. Tonight, at 10, Barbara smiled. It was a small smile, but fierce. William would be proud of you. She stood up to leave. Before opening the door, she turned back. Eleanor, one more thing. Do not take any pill they give you. None. Spit it out, throw it away, whatever, but do not swallow it. I already learned that lesson. When Barbara left, I stayed seated in the living room, feeling something inside me awaken. They had made a mistake. They thought I was alone, but I wasn't anymore. That night passed with torturous slowness. I had dinner with Vanessa and Michael, feigning normality, chicken in green sauce that I could not taste. Every bite got stuck in my throat. Is the food okay, Eleanor? Asked Vanessa with that fake sweetness. It is delicious, I lied. Michael did not even look at me. He ate in silence, eyes fixed on his plate. At 9, Vanessa brought me my nightly medication, the usual pink pill. Open your mouth wide so I can see you take it, she said, smiling. My heart skipped a beat. She had never said that before. Did she suspect something? I opened my mouth. I put the pill on my tongue. I drank the water. I swallowed, making the exaggerated movement of the throat. Good girl, she said, as if I were an obedient pet. As soon as she left, I spit the pill into my hand. I wrapped it in a tissue and put it in my nightstand drawer. Evidence. I went to bed dressed, with my clothes under my pajamas. I turned off the light. I set the alarm on my old alarm clock for 9:45 p.m. Time crawled like a snail. When the alarm finally went off, I got up without making noise. I walked barefoot to the back patio door. I opened it slowly. The hinges creaked barely. The patio was dark, barely lit by the moon. The hydrangeas moved with the October wind. I waited, hidden behind the flower pots. At 10:03, I heard the soft tapping on the metal gate. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. The signal Barbara had indicated to me. I opened it. Barbara entered first, followed by a young man, no more than 35. Tall, thin, with thick-rimmed glasses, a short beard, a denim shirt, no suit, nothing intimidating. Eleanor, this is David Ross, whispered Barbara. The young man extended his hand. His grip was firm but warm. Mrs. Eleanor, it is an honor. Barbara told me your situation. I came to help you. We went into the kitchen. I closed the patio door. I put water on to heat for coffee. Tell me everything, said David, taking a small recorder out of his backpack. With details, dates, names, events, everything you remember. I told him the complete story again, this time without crying, with coldness, with precision. David took notes in a notebook while recording. Do you have any physical evidence? He asked when I finished. I took out the tissue with the pills. 4 now, the ones I had saved the last few days. I need to know what they are giving me. David put them in a small Ziploc bag. I will send them for analysis. If they contain unauthorized sedatives or dangerous doses, that is evidence of abuse. And Dr. Reynolds? I asked. The one who supposedly diagnosed me? I am investigating his license. If he is issuing false diagnoses, we report him to the medical board. He can lose his license. I felt a spark of hope. What do we need to do? Asked Barbara. David leaned on the table. First, we need to protect your properties. Tomorrow we go to a different notary, one I know, and we make a formal declaration that you are in full possession of your faculties. That blocks any attempt to declare you incompetent. Can I do that? Of course. You are the owner. No one can take that right from you without a court order, and for that they need real proof, not a manufactured file. Second, he continued, we need evidence of what they are doing. Recordings, documents, messages. How? They control my phone, my email, everything. David smiled and took a new cell phone out of his backpack. This is for you. It already has my number saved. Hide it well. Use it only for emergencies or to record important conversations. Activate silent mode always. I took the phone as if it were a sacred relic. Third, we need to track the money. If Vanessa already moved funds, sold something, or forged documents, that is fraud, a felony, jail time. How do we find that out? Give me access to your bank statements, deeds, important documents. Where do you keep them? In my closet, upstairs, in a red velvet box. I need to photograph them. Can I go up? I looked at the clock. 10:47. Vanessa and Michael would be asleep, or so I hoped. Follow me. We went up the stairs slowly, avoiding the steps that creak. We entered my room. I locked the door. I opened the closet. I climbed on a stool. I took down the box. David began to photograph every document with his cell phone. House deeds, property titles for the commercial units, account statements, lease contracts, everything. Mrs. Eleanor, he said suddenly, looking at a statement. Here appears a withdrawal of $3,500 2 weeks ago. Did you authorize this? No, I did not take out that money. And this other one? $2,800 10 days ago? Neither. David looked up with hardness in his eyes. That is bank fraud. They are using your account without authorization. What can I do? Tomorrow we go to the bank. Change all your passwords. Block any access Michael or Vanessa have. Put a security alert. Barbara put her hand on my shoulder. You are not alone anymore, Eleanor. Now you have an army. David finished photographing everything. We put the documents away again. One last thing, he said. I need you to act normal. To keep pretending. Do not raise suspicions. The more time we have to build the case, the stronger it will be. How much time? A week, maximum 2. And if they try to commit me before, you call me, at any hour. I have contacts in the DA's office. We can block any attempt at involuntary commitment if there is no real cause. We said goodbye in the patio. Barbara hugged me tight. We are going to win this, she whispered in my ear. When they left, I returned to my room. I hid the cell phone inside a teabag box inside the coffee canister. No one would look for it there. I lay in bed, but I could not sleep. For the first time in months, I did not feel fear. I felt something much more dangerous. I felt power, and Vanessa had no idea what was coming for her. The following 5 days were the hardest of my life. I had to pretend, act like the confused old woman they believed I was, take my medicines and spit them out, nod when Vanessa spoke of assisted living options, smile when Michael avoided my gaze. David worked in silence. The pill analysis arrived. Controlled prescription sedatives mixed with anti-anxiety meds, doses that, combined, could cause severe confusion, short-term memory loss, even psychotic episodes in older people. All calculated, all planned. Dr. Reynolds turned out to be a doctor with a history of complaints for irregular diagnoses. David had already initiated a formal complaint with the medical board. At the bank, with David accompanying me, we changed all the passwords. We blocked any secondary access. The manager, a woman of about 40 named Patricia, reviewed the recent movements and turned pale. Ma'am, there are withdrawals here that do not match your usage pattern. Did you authorize these transfers? No. Then someone has access to your account. We are going to launch a fraud investigation. Vanessa and Michael had no idea the walls were closing in on them. Until Tuesday, March 14th arrived. That day, Vanessa entered my room with a smile that was too wide. Eleanor, I have a surprise. Today we are going to have lunch together, just you and me, at a nice place, to celebrate that we are going to fix everything. My stomach tightened. Something was not right. Where? To the Ivy, downtown. I already made a reservation. I remembered David's words. Act normal. Do not raise suspicions. That sounds good, I said. I got ready. The burgundy blazer, The pearl earrings, I wanted to look strong. Before leaving, I took the hidden cell phone and put it in the inside pocket of my blazer. I set it to continuous recording mode. We arrived at the restaurant. Everything happened exactly as I told you at the beginning. But now I can tell you what I did not know then. When Vanessa went out to answer the call, it was not a coincidence. She called herself from another phone to have the excuse to step away, because she needed time for me to drink enough poisoned water. The woman at the next table, Linda, had been watching since we arrived. She worked at General Hospital. For 30 years, she had seen cases of elder abuse. She knew the signs. She saw how Vanessa constantly checked my glass. She saw how I drank without suspecting. She saw how my movements began to get slower, my gaze glassier. And she saw when Vanessa, standing up to answer the call, brushed my glass with her sleeve and poured something else from a small vial she carried in her closed fist. Linda acted. She saved my life, because what David discovered later, investigating Vanessa's records, was chilling. 2 days prior, Vanessa had bought a bottle of Ambien on the black market. Sleeping pills, high concentration. The dose she had put in the water, added to the sedatives I had supposedly taken in the morning, was enough to cause respiratory arrest in a woman my age, with my history of high blood pressure. It would have looked like natural death. A heart attack during lunch. What a tragedy. What a shame. And Michael would have inherited everything. But I escaped. When I arrived at Barbara's house that day, shaking, with my dress torn and arm scraped, the first thing I did was call David. "It is time," I told him. "We have everything we need. Are you sure? They just tried to kill me." "Yes, I am sure." That night, David activated everything. He filed criminal complaints with the District Attorney's Special Victims Unit for elder abuse, fraud, forgery of documents, illegal supply of controlled substances, attempted murder. He also alerted the authorities about Dr. Reynolds and organized the meeting that would change everything. I asked David for something specific. "I want to see their faces when they know they lost." He smiled. "That can be arranged." 2 days later, Vanessa received a call from Mr. Thompson, supposedly the notary who would help her with my conservatorship papers. "I need to see you, Michael, and Mrs. Eleanor, tomorrow at 11, in my office, to sign the final documents." Vanessa almost screamed with happiness when she hung up. "Michael, it is done. Tomorrow we sign everything." That night I heard how they celebrated in their room. Cheap champagne, laughter, plans on what they would do with the money. Michael, my son, the boy I carried in my arms, laughed while planning to get rid of me. That was the last straw. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror. I saw myself, the wrinkles, the gray hair, the tired eyes. But I also saw something else. I saw the woman William loved, the woman who built a business, the woman who raised a son alone when her husband worked double shifts, the woman who survived the death of her parents, the loss of her husband, the betrayal of her family. "Tomorrow this ends," I told my reflection, and I went to sleep peacefully for the first time in months, because I knew that the next day Vanessa and Michael would walk into that office expecting to sign my death sentence. But they would find something very different. They would find justice. The morning of March 16th dawned cold. I got up early. I showered. I put on my olive green dress. The one William said made me look elegant and serious. I barely put on makeup. I combed my hair back, tied up. I wanted to look lucid, strong, imposing. Vanessa knocked on my door at 9. "Eleanor, it is almost time. Ready to go to the lawyer?" "Ready," I replied with a firm voice. She looked at me strangely. She had gone days without hearing me speak like that. "Do you feel okay?" "Perfectly fine." In the car, Michael drove in silence. Vanessa was reviewing papers in the passenger seat. I was in the back, watching the city pass by the window. "Eleanor," said Vanessa, turning around, "today you only have to sign where the lawyer indicates. They are papers to protect your assets. Understand?" "I understand perfectly," I said. We arrived at a corporate building in the Loop. We went up to the 11th floor, office 1106. David had given me the exact address, but Vanessa thought it was the office of the corrupt Mr. Thompson she had contacted. It was not. We entered. The receptionist, a young girl with glasses, did not smile. "Mrs. Eleanor Campbell, that is me. Go in, please. They are waiting for you." She opened the door of a conference room. Vanessa entered first, smiling, confident. Michael followed her, adjusting his shirt collar. I entered last, and I saw their faces change. Seated at the table were David Ross, with a briefcase full of documents; Barbara, with arms crossed and an expression of stone; two detectives from the Chicago Police Department, a man and a woman, both uniformed, and a public notary; Mr. Pappas, Medina, whom I had known for 20 years. Vanessa stopped dead. The smile froze on her face. What is this?" she stammered. Michael turned pale. "Mom, what is happening?" I sat at the head of the table. I folded my hands. I looked at both of them with a calm that surprised even me. "This, son, is what happens when you underestimate your mother." David stood up. "Mrs. Vanessa Brooks, Mr. Michael Campbell, you are here because you have been cited in relation to multiple complaints filed by Mrs. Eleanor Campbell. You have the right to remain silent or to leave, but if you do, arrest warrants will be issued immediately." Vanessa tried to laugh. "Arrest warrants? This is ridiculous. Eleanor, what did these people tell you? Are they manipulating you?" Barbara spoke with a cutting voice. "The only one who manipulated here was you." David opened his briefcase. He began to take out documents and put them on the table, one by one. Evidence number 1. Toxicological analysis of medications supplied to Mrs. Eleanor without her consent. High-potency sedatives, dangerous doses. Signed by the certified lab of Northwestern Hospital. Vanessa swallowed hard. Evidence number 2. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals totaling $247,000 in the last 4 months. Traced to accounts in the name of Vanessa Brooks and Michael Campbell. Michael closed his eyes. Evidence number 3. Falsified medical file signed by Dr. Reynolds, who currently faces investigation for malpractice and forgery of documents before the medical board. Vanessa's mask began to crack. Evidence number 4. Testimonies from 5 neighbors and local shopkeepers declaring that Mrs. Eleanor always showed lucidity and coherence, contradicting the alleged cognitive decline. David paused. Then he took out a red folder. And evidence number 5. Criminal record of Vanessa Brooks in Arizona. Case of Mrs. Eloise Brooks, her aunt, who died under suspicious circumstances 6 months after giving her power of attorney. Identical modus operandi. The silence in the room was deafening. Vanessa was breathing fast, nostrils flared. Then David took out his phone. He connected it to a small speaker. And finally, this. He pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the room. "She is an obstacle, and obstacles are removed." Michael's voice. "She is my mother." Vanessa's voice again. "The commercial units already have a buyer. Mr. Garrison offered $100,000 for both. And the house? This Victorian in Lincoln Park is worth at least $1.5 million. Every word was a blow. Every phrase, a stab. The recording continued. The complete plan. Michael's debts. The blackmail. The St. Lucie residence. Plan B. When it finished, Michael had his head in his hands. Vanessa looked at me with pure hate. "You?" she hissed. "You recorded us?" "Of course I did," I replied calmly. "I learned from the best. From you. You taught me that people show their true face when they think no one is looking." I stood up. I walked around the table. I stopped in front of Michael. "Look at me," I told him. He lifted his face. His eyes were red. "Mom, do you know what hurts me the most?" I interrupted him. "It is not the money. It is not the properties. It is that you looked at me every day, knowing what you planned. You watched me take those pills. You watched me doubt myself. And you did nothing." A tear rolled down his cheek. He was afraid. Afraid of what? Of her? Of your debts? "I am your mother, Michael. I would have sold everything to help you if you had asked me. But you preferred to rob me. You preferred to destroy me." I turned toward Vanessa. "And you entered my house. You slept under my roof. You ate at my table. And all the time you were calculating how much my death was worth." Vanessa crossed her arms. "Are you finished with your little speech?" The detective stood up. "Vanessa Brooks, You are under arrest for the crimes of fraud, illegal supply of controlled substances, elder abuse, and attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent." "This is a farce," shouted Vanessa. "You have no proof of anything." "We have everything," said David coldly, "including the bottle of Ambien you bought at the pharmacy on State Street. The owner identified you by photograph." Vanessa tried to run toward the door. The officers stopped her. They put the handcuffs on her. She looked at me with a venom that froze. "You are going to die alone, stupid old woman, without family, without anyone." I smiled. A sad but firm smile. "I prefer to die alone than to live surrounded by vipers." They took her away. Michael remained seated, destroyed. "Mom?" he whispered. I looked at him. My only son, and for the first time in my life, I did not know if I still recognized him. After they took Vanessa away, the room remained in a heavy silence. Michael remained seated, gaze lost on the table. The detectives took his statement. He confessed everything. The gambling debts, the $50,000 he owed to a dangerous loan shark named Rocco, Vanessa's blackmail. How she convinced him it was the only way out. And the restaurant? Did you know what she planned to do that day? Michael looked up, eyes full of panic. "No. I swear to God, no. When she told me she had invited my mom to lunch, I thought it was to convince her to sign the papers. Nothing more. When I knew what she had attempted, I couldn't believe it." "And even then you said nothing?" Barbara's voice was pure ice. "You didn't call the police? You didn't protect your mother?" Michael covered his face with his hands. "I was afraid Rocco would kill me. I was afraid of going to jail. I was afraid of everything." I approached him. I knelt down to be at his level, although my knees protested the effort. "Michael, look at me." He lowered his hands slowly. "You were my pride," I told him, with a broken voice, but firm. "The boy who woke me up on Sundays to have breakfast together. The young man who cried watching dog movies. The man who brought flowers to his father at the cemetery every anniversary. Where did that Michael go?" "I don't know, Mom. I lost him." "Then, find him. Because the one sitting here is not my son." The detectives explained his legal situation. He could face charges as an accomplice, but given that he cooperated and did not participate directly in the poisoning, the DA might consider a deal. "You are going to pay your debts," I said, standing up, "but with your own work, not with my stolen money. You are going to go to therapy. You are going to face your gambling addiction, and you are going to earn, step by step, the right to call yourself my son again." "Are you giving me another chance?" His voice was barely a whisper. "I am giving you the chance to save yourself. What you do with it depends only on you." We signed documents. Mr. Medina certified my full mental capacity. David legally blocked any future attempt at declaration of incompetence without my explicit consent. All my properties were protected in a trust administered by Barbara and David. No one could touch them without my direct authorization. The $247,000 stolen were tracked and frozen. The bank initiated its return process, and I, for the first time in months, signed documents knowing exactly what they said. 3 days later, I visited Michael in his new apartment, a modest place, 1 bedroom, in Rogers Park. He had had to move. He could no longer live in my house. I knocked on the door. He opened. He looked haggard, with deep circles under his eyes, unshaven. "Mom, I came to bring you something." I extended an envelope. Inside was $5,000 in cash. "What is this?" "It is a loan, so you can start paying Rocco and they don't kill you." "But it is a loan, Michael, with a contract, signed before a notary. You are going to pay it back to me with monthly payments of $250 for 20 months. He took the envelope with shaking hands. "I don't know what to say. Say you are going to comply. Say you are going to seek help. Say you are going to fight to be better." "I will. I promise you." I hugged him. He smelled of sadness and regret. "I still love you, son. But love does not mean allowing you to destroy me. It means giving you the tools so you rebuild yourself. The rest is your job." When I left that apartment, I cried in the car. I cried for the son he was, for the man who got lost, and for the fragile hope that he could still find himself. The trial against Vanessa took 4 months. David built a flawless case. The charges piled up: aggravated fraud, elder abuse, forgery of documents, illegal supply of controlled substances, attempted murder. Dr. Reynolds lost his professional license and faced his own criminal charges. The Arizona case was reopened. Aunt Eloise's family presented new evidence. Vanessa would have to answer for that too. At the last hearing, they asked me to give a victim impact statement. I stood in front of the judge with Barbara at my side. "Your Honor," I said with a clear voice, "this woman not only tried to steal my money, she tried to steal my dignity, my identity, my sanity. She tried to convince the world that I was no longer a complete person, that I was a disposable object." I looked at Vanessa. She returned the gaze with pure contempt. But she failed. Because I learned something in these months. It is never too late to defend yourself. You are never too old to fight. And dignity is not lost with age. It is lost when you let others decide who you are. The judge handed down the sentence. 12 years in prison. Vanessa screamed, cursed, swore revenge. I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high. I also did something else. Something neither Barbara nor David expected. I took $30,000 of my savings and created the William Campbell Foundation for the Protection of Seniors, destined to offer free legal advice, psychological support, and temporary shelter for elderly victims of family abuse. Because if this happened to me, with education, with resources, with a home of my own, I told David, imagine what happens to those who have nothing. The foundation opened its doors 6 months later. At the inauguration, Linda, the nurse who saved me at the restaurant, was our guest of honor. "You saved my life," I told her, hugging her. "And you are saving many more," she replied with tears in her eyes. Michael did not go to the inauguration, but he sent me a letter. "Mom, I have been clean from gambling for 4 months. I go to therapy twice a week. I paid my first monthly installment of the loan. I still have a long way to go, but I want you to know that every day I try to be the son you deserve to have. I love you, and someday I hope you can forgive me." I kept that letter in the box where I have William's photographs, because forgiveness is a long road, and we are still just taking the first steps. 2 years have passed since that day in Mr. Medina's office. 2 years since I recovered my life. Today, while I write this sitting on the porch of my Victorian home, watching the afternoon sun paint the hydrangeas orange, I can say something that a while ago I believed I would never feel again. I am at peace. The house is still mine. Every corner, every memory, every photograph on the walls. But I no longer live alone in it. I rented the upstairs room to a medical student named Sophia. She is 23, comes from Ohio, and reminds me of myself when I was young, full of dreams and hunger for the future. She helps me with the heavy groceries. I make her home-cooked meals. It is a fair exchange, without emotional debts, without manipulations. Barbara comes to visit me twice a week. We drink coffee on the patio. We talk about everything and nothing. We remember William with laughter instead of tears. We reconciled for real. That porcelain tea set we fought over years ago is now in her house. I gifted it to her. It is just porcelain. I told her the day I gave it to her. Family is more valuable. Margaret also returned to my life. It turns out Vanessa had told her I did not want to see her anymore, that I had accused her of stealing my things. When Margaret found out the truth, she came crying to ask my forgiveness. "You have nothing to forgive," I told her, hugging her. We were both victims of the same liar. Now we play bridge every Thursday afternoon, like before. The William Campbell Foundation has helped 37 seniors in these 2 years, 37 people who were being robbed, manipulated, mistreated by their own families. Some recovered their properties, others found safe shelter. Everyone recovered their dignity. Linda, the nurse who saved me, works now as coordinator of the foundation. It is her voice that answers the phone when someone asks for help. It is her experience that detects the signs of abuse. "You gave me a purpose," she told me recently. "For years I saw the abuse and could not do anything systematic. Now I can." David continues to be my lawyer. He has also become something like an adopted grandson. He comes to eat every 2 weeks. He likes my lasagna. I talk to him about Michael, about my fears, about my hopes. He listens to me without judging. "Do you know what I admire most about you, Mrs. Eleanor?" he told me once. "That you could have stayed with the resentment, with the hate, but you chose to build something good from all that pain. Michael, my son, it has been 2 difficult years for both." He kept his promise. He paid the full loan, month by month, without failing a single time. He quit gambling. He attends his Gamblers Anonymous group religiously. He got a stable job at a small accounting firm, far from temptations. We see each other once a month, on neutral ground. A coffee shop in Wicker Park, we converse with care, like 2 strangers learning to know each other again. In our last meeting, 2 weeks ago, he brought me something. "Mom, I found this cleaning out my things." It was an old photograph. He was 7 years old. He was in my arms, smiling with crooked teeth that hadn't been fixed yet. I was looking at him with a love so pure it hurt to see it now. "I want to be that boy again that you see in this photo," he said with a broken voice. "I don't know if it is possible, but I want to try." I took his hand across the table. "You cannot be that boy again, Michael. But you can be a man that boy would be proud to know. He still does not live with me. Perhaps he will never live with me again, but the door is not locked. It is ajar, waiting for him to prove he can cross it without bringing hidden poison." And Vanessa. She serves her sentence in the Dwight Correctional Center. She tried to appeal twice. She lost both times. Her Arizona case added 5 more years to her sentence. I have not gone to visit her. I will not do it. Some people do not deserve your forgiveness. They deserve your indifference. The other day, a young journalist came to interview me for an article on elder abuse. She asked me how I felt having won. "I did not win," I told her. "I survived." What is different? What is the difference? Winning implies that everything goes back to how it was before. I did not go back to being who I was. I became someone new, someone stronger but also sadder, because now I know what the people you love are capable of when money is involved. "Do you regret having fought?" I looked her directly in the eyes. Never. Because if I hadn't fought, today I would be in a cheap nursing home, medicated into oblivion, watching everything William and I built disappear. And the worst part, believing I deserved it, that I was a burden, that I was worth nothing. What would you say to other older people who are going through something similar? I thought a long moment before answering. That it is never too late to defend yourself. That age does not make you weak, it makes you wiser. That if someone makes you feel you are a nuisance, a problem, a burden, that person is lying to control you, and that always, always, there is someone willing to help you if you dare to ask for help. Now, while the sun sets, and Sophia arrives from the university with her backpack full of books, while I prepare the dinner we will share, while I hear in the distance the sound of the church bells, I realize something. I did not recover my life. I built a new one, and this life I have now, with its scars and its lessons, with its pain transformed into purpose, with its solitude chosen instead of imposed, this life is completely mine. William always told me, "Eleanor, you have a soul of oak. You can bend, but you do not break." It took me 70 years to understand he was right. I bent, I almost broke, but here I remain, standing, with roots deeper than before. Epilogue and final reflection. This morning I woke up with the song of the birds nesting in the hydrangeas. I made my coffee, with cinnamon, as my grandmother taught me back in Iowa when I was a girl. I sat on the same porch where William and I used to watch the sunrises 30 years ago. And I thought about everything that happened. There are days when it still hurts, days when I see a mother with her son at the market and I feel a pang in my chest. Days when I find an old photograph of Michael and I ask myself at what exact moment something broke between us, but I no longer ask myself if it was my fault, because it wasn't. For months, after everything ended, I tortured myself thinking, what did I do wrong? Was I too hard? Did I give too much? Did I give too little? Barbara was the one who pulled me out of that labyrinth. "Eleanor," she told me one afternoon, holding my hands, "you did not create Vanessa's greed. You did not force Michael to gamble. You did not put a knife in their backs so they would betray you. They made their own decisions, terrible decisions, and the consequences are theirs, not yours." She was right. I have learned that a mother's love is not infinite if it becomes complicity. That protecting your children does not mean saving them from the consequences of their acts. That sometimes the greatest show of love is saying, "Up to here, no more." Last week, Michael marked 2 years clean from gambling. He called to tell me. His voice sounded different, lighter, more real. "Mom, I want you to know something," he told me. "These 2 years have been the hardest of my life, but also the most honest. For the first time in years, I look in the mirror and I do not feel disgust. I am glad, son. Do you think that someday we can be a family again, like before?" I took my time to answer, because the question was a trap, and I no longer fall into traps. We cannot go back to being like before, Michael, because before included lies, secrets, and you allowing someone to destroy me. But we can build something new, something based on the truth, even if it hurts. Does that mean there is hope? It means there is possibility. You build the hope, day by day, with your actions. We hung up, and I stayed thinking about that conversation for hours. Have I forgiven him? I still do not know if forgiveness is the correct word. What I do know is that I no longer carry his betrayal like a stone in my chest. I let it go. I left it on the floor. And if he wants to pick it up and do something good with it, it is his job, not mine. Yesterday, a 74-year-old lady came to the foundation. Her name is Hope. What an appropriate name. Her daughter and son-in-law had kicked her out of her house, sold her furniture, emptied her bank account. They left her living in a windowless attic room, charging her rent from her own pension. Linda received her. David reviewed her case. I sat with her while she drank tea. "How did you do it, Mrs. Eleanor?" she asked me with eyes full of tears. "How did you find the strength to fight?" "I did not find them," I told her. "I built them, stone by stone, day by day. And there were days when I thought I couldn't, but someone reminded me of something important. I was not the problem. They were. And what if in the end I lose? And what if I do not recover anything?" I took her wrinkled hands between mine. "Hope, listen to me well. Even if you do not recover a dime, even if you do not return to your house, even if your family never asks for forgiveness, you already won something. You recovered your voice, your dignity, the certainty that you are not a burden, that you deserve respect, that no one can take from you," she cried. I did too, because in her eyes I saw mine from 2 years ago. And I realized something. My story is no longer just mine. It belongs to all the Hopes, the Lindas, the Barbaras, to everyone who was ever treated like they were disposable for having gray hair. Tonight, before sleeping, I went to the room where I keep William's things. I took out his favorite sweater, the gray wool one that smelled of his cologne. It no longer smells of him. It smells of time. But I hugged it anyway. "I did it, old man," I whispered to him. "They almost broke me, but they didn't succeed. I protected what we built, and I built something new on top, something that would have made you proud." There was no answer, because the dead do not answer. But in the silence of that room I felt something resembling peace. I tell you this story because I need you to know something important. If you are going through something similar, if someone makes you feel invisible, useless, crazy, you are not. You are being manipulated, and there is a way out. There is always a way out. It does not matter how old you are. It does not matter if your family tells you that you are exaggerating. It does not matter if you are afraid. Ask for help. Speak up. Scream if necessary. Because you are not a burden. You are a complete story. A life lived, a dignity intact, and no one, absolutely no one, has the right to snatch it from you. I am 70 years old now. Wrinkles that tell stories. Hands that built, lost, and rebuilt. And if I learned anything, it is this. True wealth is not in what you possess, but in what you do not allow them to take from you. And they did not take the most important thing from me. They did not take my name, my story, my right to exist with dignity. That continues to be mine, and it will continue to be so until my last breath. If this story touched something in your heart, if it made you think, if you know someone who needs to hear it, share it, like this video, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching us from? What part of this story impacted you the most? Because these stories are not just to entertain, they are to remind us that never, never is it too late to defend ourselves. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for listening to Eleanor's story, which in reality is the story of many, including, perhaps, yours. The end.